Steel Ball Run is not just one of the best JoJo parts, but actually just one of the best mangas. And with the anime on the horizon, I decided to reread the entire manga and summarize it in about 10 minutes or so. And before we start, I just have to say, obviously, I'm going to be leaving out a lot of things, and this is an amazing manga, so you should definitely still read it yourself, but I tried to summarize all of the main details as much as I could. Part 7 is primarily going to follow our protagonist, Johnny Joestar, a former jockey rider, handicapped after people were just literally hating on him being so cool. They literally just shot him in the back, paralyzing him, and also his main bro, Gyro, who honestly is just kind of like the GOAT. Both of them enter into the Steel Ball Run race. Not just the name of the series, but a transcontinental race across America hosted by Steven Steele, starting in San Diego and ending in New York City, with the winner receiving a huge $50 million prize. Or is that what it's really all about? At the beginning of the race, Johnny takes an interest in one of the racers, which is Gyro, who has the power of spin. Literally just the power to spin things. Mainly his balls, steel balls, which doesn't sound that powerful, but just wait to see what Araki does with this. 3,500 people enter this race, but for a race from San Diego to New York City, you may notice that the map isn't really a straight shot. Well, there's a reason for that. The race isn't actually set up by Steven Steele, it's actually masterminded by the President of the United States, Funny Valentine, with it actually being set up to find all 9 parts of a heavenly corpse that were spread all throughout America, with each one of the stages ending at one of the suspected locations for one of the parts. We set up on the first stage, and along the way we found out that one of the racers were murdered, setting off a little bit of a murder mystery, and it's during the first stage that Johnny confronts Gyro about the spin that he saw him use, and they decide to team up together, and the first stage ends with Gyro in first and Johnny in 5th place. During the second stage, we learn of an ancient legend of a star that fell in the desert, creating the Devil's Palm, basically a mysterious patch of land that can essentially grant people powers, or rather in this case, stands. And it's during this part of the desert, as they're attacked by some enemies, that Johnny gains his stand Tusk, which doesn't look that menacing yet, but just you wait. Basically, he has the power to utilize the spin to literally shoot his fingernails basically as a gun. Only in JoJo's can you see this. And we learned that he actually got his stand because he found one of the corpse parts, the left arm, which is now inside of his own arm, which granted him a stand power. And we also learn about Gyro's backstory. At least several people throughout this race are just gonna literally be hitman targeted to assassinate Gyro, as he comes from a family of executioners in Naples, and he's mainly just here to gain pardon for a boy that he thinks was framed and his family was set to execute. But with Johnny now having one of the stand parts, he's basically Valentine's #1 enemy. And then the second leg ends with Diego Brando in first. Yes, Dio is in first. Johnny is in second. Sandman, a guy who's literally just running on foot, not even using a horse, is in third. And then Gyro is in fourth. During stage 3, they end up at Rocky Mountain Village, where a stand power turns everyone in the village into dinosaurs, including Dio, who is now like a dino-human hybrid, and Dio is now after the corpse parts as well. Gyro, Johnny, and Dio all find the next corpse part, which is both of the eyes, with Gyro getting the right eye and Dio getting the left eye, giving Dio his stand, and also granting Gyro, who doesn't actually get a stand, he just gets better use of his steel balls, as he can literally now see where they go. Stage 3 ends with Gyro in 4th, Diego in 3rd, Johnny in 2nd, and Hot Pants in 1st. Someone that we haven't heard of, but will be very important. Stage 4 begins, taking us to Kansas City, and using the spin, Gyro deciphers that the next corpse part must be there. I mean, literally, is there anything the spin can't do? I mean, the spin even edited this video for me. Oh yeah, also let's speedrun the side plot. Lucy Steele, who is Steven Steele's wife, despite the fact that she's only 14. Anyways, she intercepts a message that was sent to the president about the corpse parts and how it's a true meaning of the race and how they might kill her husband, now putting her as a traitor and causing Valentine to go after her. But she's saved by Mountain Tim, which is another racer who's also a sheriff, who's also in love with her, despite the fact that she's 14 years old.
Oh, I was actually coming out here to pick up a cupcake.
He dies anyways. Blackmore, who is someone that's aligned with Valentine, is somewhat of a hitman for the president, finds the corpse part and literally just from touching it gets visions of Jesus Christ. Oh yeah, did I mention at this point, this corpse part that they're after is literally the parts of Jesus Christ. But Gyro defeats him and the corpse spine goes to Johnny, leading them to the next parts, taking them all the way to Chicago and the lakes of Michigan to find the corpse legs, ears, and right arm. With Lucy, who's with both of them at this point as she's running away from Valentine, tells them that she already knows that Valentine has the corpse heart. Stage 4 ends and only 400 racers total are left in the race, with Norisuke Higashikata in first, a name that may ring a bell for you, Poco Loco in second, Gyro in third, and Johnny in fourth. Diego plots with Valentine to find all of the corpse parts in exchange for just money. A pretty bad trade in my opinion, but whatever he wants. Well, what does he want? He wants to be the mayor of New York. for whatever reason. During stage 5, we do see a fight between Johnny and Gyro versus Sandman, which is actually one of my favorite fights of this part, but it ends with Sandman dying, which is huge as he was actually a potential winner for the race. He even had more points than both Johnny and Gyro. But during this fight, Johnny upgrades his stand to Tusk Act 2 by learning the golden spin with the power of infinity, the ratio of 1 to 1.618. Basically, his fingernail gun now is a homing attack, which can track targets, but the reload time is greater. And almost like a bad teammate, at the end of the battle, Hot Pants comes and steals all the loot, basically taking the spine from Johnny Joestar. The 5th stage ends, Pocoloco is in 1st, Higashikata in 2nd, Hot Pants in 3rd, Gyro in 4th, and Johnny in 5th. Oh yeah, Gyro also finally pieces together the corpse part is literally Jesus Christ. They go to Lake Michigan, and after fighting a very annoying stand, they realize that with every corpse part that they've been gaining, they're also being tested on their character as a person, with this one being a test of honesty. I just thought that was a really cool little detail for them gaining parts of Jesus Christ. They're also tested on who they are as a person. Now this part may sound a little bit confusing, but just follow along with Back to our side plot that we speed ran earlier. Hot Pants, who is after the corpse parts, gives Lucy Steele part of her ability to disguise herself, with Lucy pretending to be the First Lady, which is Valentine's wife. This is all in an attempt to steal all of the corpse parts that Valentine currently has. Lucy finds not just the corpse heart, but also the right arm and the ears as well. But in this, Lucy accidentally ends up killing the actual First Lady, with Hot Pants taking the blame for this, and then also gaining the corpse ears and the heart, creating a plot that she will now permanently turn Lucy into the First Lady by disguising her, and now Lucy has to pretend to be the First Lady until the race is over, and then the Hot Pants can gain all of the rest of the corpse part. But Valentine still has the corpse right arm. We're not done with this stage yet, because we meet a name named Weka People. Weka People? Weka Popo? Weka People. That's gonna keep tripping me up. But Weka People is a man from Gyro's country, and although being a villain right now, Gyro, being the smooth talker he is, convinces him after defeating him to be an ally and tasks him with protecting Lucy Steele. Gyro and Johnny also find the corpse leg, which was hidden in a wolf. The 6th stage ends, Gyro's back in 1st, Johnny's in 2nd, Pocoloco in 3rd, Higashikata in 4th, and Diego's in 20th. Yeah, he's just sandbagging now. We go from Michigan all the way to Philadelphia, where they fight against a stand literally just called Civil War, where Johnny is guided by the voice of Jesus Christ, awakening Act 3 of Tusk, enabling Johnny to use the golden rectangle on himself, creating a wormhole inside his body that allows him to rotate indefinitely and attack from various different angles. Yes, it's that insane. During a lot of stuff that happens to this, Valentine comes to the area and gets all of the corpse parts, including all of the ones that Johnny has, but is still missing the right eye that Dio has, the left eye that Lucy / the First Lady has, and then also the skull. The 7th stage ends, Diego's back in 1st, Higashikata in 2nd, Pocoloco 3rd, Gyro 6th, and Johnny 7. Oh yeah, Kanye's also in the rankings somewhere. No further explanation is needed for that. The 8th stage begins, taking us from Philly all the way to New Jersey, and we're going to go back to our side plot, which now is going to become the main plot. As Lucy / the First Lady is with Valentine, she loses the eye, as all of the corpse parts when they're in a close vicinity will attract to each other. Valentine goes into the room, and in that he gains the corpse chest, which makes him insanely ripped, with American flag scars on his back, which is the form that you've most likely already seen him as. And with him now having some muscle, he starts feeling himself and he tries to force himself on Lucy, but she fights him off, stabbing him, and in the scuffle, he realizes that she is the traitor that he's been looking for. But despite being stabbed, he's still alive because of the powers of his stand, Dirty Deed Stun Cheap, also known as D4C. And to make it not as complicated as I can, basically his stand allows him to go between alternate universes and dimensions to swap his injured self with one of him that's not injured. Talk about a broken ability. She runs away and hides from him, and as she attempts to hide in a fireplace, she reaches up and out comes the corpse skull with the rest of the body following it, minus the eye that Dio has. She sees a blinding light from seeing the corpse of Jesus Christ, which scares her, and just take this next part for what it is. There's really no other way for me to explain this. The skull literally goes inside her stomach, making her pregnant with the corpse head, with Valentine saying that he'll just have to wait for her to give birth to it to complete the corpse. Just honestly, take that sentence for what it is. I don't need to explain it any further than that. Dio, who is now after the corpse parts again, teams up with Weka People to fight against D4C, but Valentine's ability is honestly just too overpowered. He's just like vanishing around and stuff like that. He even uses the American flag for his tag, since he really is the president of the US. But in the fight, Valentine gets the corpse eye from Dio, gaining all of the parts, minus the head which Lucy has, has, and we learn that although there are parallel universes, this is the only universe that has the corpse parts. Valentine gets on the train heading to the final part with Lucy as he's waiting for her to give birth to the corpse head, which is the final part he needs, but Dio isn't done yet and now teams up with Hot Pants to go after Valentine. Which I gotta say, let's give it up for Dio. Dio's usually a villain, but this Dio in this universe is actually just really cool. Lucy being left alone on the train as she has the corpse skull in her. If you remember, all of the corpse parts attract towards each other, so all of the corpse parts attract towards her with her literally turning into the corpse. Dio tries to fight off D4C, knowing that the only way to kill him is to give him an instant death so he can't swap himself out with another universe. So he knocks both of them off under the train tracks and kills both of them instantly, killing both Valentine and Dio, which I actually kind of feel bad for him. He was pretty cool. Oh yeah, Valentine isn't even dead though. Last second, he was still able to catch himself under the train wheels and disappear into another world. We're now in New Jersey, and Lucy now has all 9 of the corpse parts inside of her, and with her nearby to D4C, it draws out D4C's ability to move between a gap in the dimension just to make him even more broken. Johnny and Gyro now catch up to take on Valentine, and Johnny unlocks Act 4 and is able to actually hit Valentine with the infinite spin. Basically, Act 4 unlocked the true potential of the spin, granting Johnny the ability to create infinite rotational energy and use a golden spin attack alongside using the spin of his horse to attack directly, basically locking someone into one place as they are attacked by the spin forever, in all dimensions, as his damage is literally infinite and the accumulation of what has been passed down by the Sabelli family. But during this fight, and to unlock this power, Valentine shoots Gyro. No jokes here, just rest in peace to him. After being hit with the infinite spin, Valentine tries to basically gaslight Johnny to let him live and says that if he lets him live, in return, he'll get a parallel Gyro from another world back into this world, but Johnny realizes that he's a liar and Johnny kills him. Johnny finally gets all the corpse parts, but someone steals it before he can set off towards the finishing line, with Johnny racing after the finish line, thinking whoever stole it must be heading there as well. And as he goes, he finds out it's Dio, once again, the Dio that he saw die before. Basically, Valentine got a parallel Dio to help him get all the corpse parts even if he were to die, and this Dio is from an alternate world, a Dio that has Zawardo. On the last stretch of the race, as they head towards New York City over the Manhattan Bridge, Johnny and Dio face off, with Dio actually winning and hitting Johnny himself with his own ultimate spin attack, with the race ending with Dio is in first, and as Valentine instructed him, he goes down to store the corpse part in an underground vault that no one can enter for 80 years. But Lucy Steele, who already realized that Dio was back alive, comes last second realizing what Dio was up to, bringing the dead corpse of Dio from the train tracks. As if two parallel things from parallel worlds touch each other, they cancel out. So dead Dio and parallel alive Dio come in contact with each other, canceling each other out. As Steven Steele comes towards the finishing line, he also saves Johnny, reversing the spin off of him, and although he didn't win first place, we end the Steel Ball run race with Johnny having regained the ability to walk, reflecting on how this was a story of revival, about how he didn't know it but he was constantly praying all along the way, with the final results being Pocoloco in first, Higashigata in second, and although Gyro was unfortunately dead, his ultimate wish did come true as the boy was eventually pardoned. And then we end with Johnny going on a boat towards Europe to go bury his dead friend, ending the Steel Ball run.